Sonic has had quite a rollercoaster when it comes to releases post-generations. They first deviated from the successful boost movement with Lost World in 2013, and while I like the game personally, it left a lot to be desired. Boom was next, and the only worthwhile things to ever come out of that dumpster fire were the TV show, which is hilarious, and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, which was a decent game. After that, we got the release of Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces. One of those games was up there for the best releases of the year, while the other, well, we all know how that turned out. And for a while after that, it seemed like Sonic was dead, slowly fading away into the video game void of nothingness. And then the first movie released and saved the whole fucking franchise. Sonic's popularity is at the highest it ever been in decades, and with the blockbuster Sonic 2 film shattering records for a video game adaptation in cinemas, and the well-received release of Sonic Frontiers, which aimed to be a grander title and scope than anything before it, the future is looking bright for the Hedgehog. However, Frontiers is only a B-tier game at best, held back by its general lack of polish and lack of confidence in itself by recycling level layouts and themes. And while a godsend compared to this, it was still far below the standards set by Mario with Odyssey and the Bandicoot with his long-awaited fourth entry in the series. The second movie in the Sonic Cinematic Universe, combined with the sales of Frontiers, gave Sonic's team a significant boost in funds for the next title. And with the Shadow Focus movie releasing in late 2024, they wanted a game that would A, help people understand Shadow's character and motivations, and B, act as promotional material to the movie. However, due to what I can only assume was a fear that a Shadow game would be poorly received after 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog, and a 4-hour game being a tough sell in today's market, it was decided to bundle Sonic Generations into the package as a means of having both Sonic's history and Shadow's history represented in one package. And I have to say, I was pretty excited for this one. From all the clips of gameplay we got of people behind the scenes playing the first level of the game, to a non-stop promotion of the game on social media and YouTube, there were no major red flags for the first time in forever when it comes to Sonic, honestly. However, now that the full game has been out for a while, I've had time to form an educated opinion on both halves of the package. Is it as good as the critics say? As always, let's get into things. Before I get into the levels of this anniversary celebration, I'll go over some of the changes made to the remaster of the 2011 classic. For one, the cutscenes have been completely redubbed and rewritten, with certain scenes being completely reanimated. And while this initially excited me, it's kind of a mixed bag in execution. While the scripts themselves were changed, most of the cutscenes were not, which makes some cutscenes flat out ridiculous.
Thanks, Sonic. Now then, tell me, where is the rest of my island?
Not to mention, the substance of those rewrites is questionable at points. It feels like most of them amount to making each sentence more wordy for the sake of it, instead of actually strengthening the non-existent narrative of Generations.
It was great teaming up with you, or me. Maybe this will fast-track you to learning some new tricks in the future. Wait, I mean, past. Ugh, time travel's a chore.
And hence comes off as rather redundant. What I would have loved them to do is have more scenes of Sonic and his friends reflecting on the levels they complete, like they do at Green Hill and Chemical Plant. Unfortunately, that just wasn't what we got. Although rather minor, given that I couldn't give less of a shit about Generation's story in the first place, I can't help but bring up the weaker voice acting in general. I don't know what the fuck happened here, but every character sounds so lifeless and dry with no personality in their voices whatsoever. Doesn't help when certain voice actors are just objectively worse than their 2011 counterparts. At the end of the day though, this really isn't that big a deal to me. If this happened to say Sonic Heroes, I would cry foul. However, this is Sonic Generations, where the story takes a backseat in favour of the nostalgia trip the game sends you through its levels, making it hard to really care much about these changes. In terms of gameplay, both Sonics now have the drop dash, and it's not very useful. I see almost no points with modern Sonic because he has a goddamn boost, and classic Sonic has a spin dash that can be revved up on the go. Harmless addition at worst, but not something I use very often. There have also been several chow added to each level, adding incentive to replay these stages to scour for them, although the reward is little more than a lively hub wars. By pre-ordering the game and signing up to some Sonic newspaper, you get a Sonic Adventure 1 skin for Modern Sonic and a Sonic Jam 1 for Classic Sonic. And while these are nice additions, I can't help but feel that there was a lack of care and effort in terms of how they are implemented. Firstly, these skins have no super form and aren't viewable in cutscenes, which modders have already done for the base game on PC. Secondly, I really think these skins should have had custom animations to better represent the games they come from. Again, given that modders have done this to great effect already, it feels like a serious missed opportunity from Sega. Plus, why are these skins only available as pre-order bonuses? I feel there should have been a dedicated section in-game where you can buy skins for exchange for something like, let's say, Chow. Could have given them a greater sense of value besides tickling completionist boxes. Heck, I feel like there should have been more skins given that the game is, I don't know, a celebration of Sonic's history. Where's my SA2 skin, my Precious Heroes model, the 06 one? You could even throw in some of the side game models if you wanted. If we have to be relegated to 2 we have, that's perfectly fine, but this was a seriously missed opportunity here, guys. Finally, it feels like the Generations port is less polished than it should be. I noticed the assets loading in as you start the level several times, which just shouldn't be happening in a revamped version of the game. At the end of the day, however, these are relatively minor nitpicks. Come on, it's Generations, one of the greatest games in the history of the franchise. There are 2 distinct playstyles to work with here. Classic Sonic composed relatively comparably to his old school games on the Mega Drive/Genesis. He doesn't gain as much momentum in rolling down hills and is a bit heavy compared to the old games, but the addition of an instant spin dash by holding down the boost bar more than makes up for his shortcomings. Modern Sonic, on the other hand, compares very comparably to his Unleashed counterpart, with tighter control to boot. So you've got 2 great gameplay styles in the game with even better levels and bosses to boot. So let's go through them, shall we? Of course this is going to be the pick to represent Sonic 1. It was the level that sold kids on Sonic's momentum based gameplay back in the 90s, and is easily the standout level of that game. It's a great introductory level for both classic and modern Sonic, as it incorporates several set pieces from the original stage while introducing a fresh spin on things for the modern stage as you grind away from a giant chopper. The music for both acts is top notch too, with the classic version adding more instruments to the main melody, and the modern version being a reflection of how much Sonic loves the location with how cheery it is. Once again, another excellent pick. Chemical Plant was where Sonic 2 really took off, as he blasted through the warp pipes and rolled down slopes at a speed previously thought unimaginable at the time. Just like Sonic 1's Green Hill, this was the clear best level in the game, so I'm happy it got represented here. In particular, I love that the level remains intact throughout Classic Sonic's version of the level, with the music remaining fairly faithful to the original. But with modern Sonic, it begins to fall apart, and the music becomes more chaotic as a result. This is the first level where I feel like the pick was questionable, as I believe Hydro City Zone was the clear standout from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. However, the level on Generation is fantastic, easily better than its original incarnation in Sonic 3, as that was more of a playable cutscene than the full level. The classic level is close to perfection in terms of classic Sonic level design, with the best usage of its 2.5D nature yet through branching pathways and dynamic camera angles. The stage represents the moment Sonic and Knuckles teamed up to put a stop to Eggman, and this classic remix perfectly encapsulates the urgency of the situation. The modern level has quite a bit of 3D platforming and houses many hidden routes that drastically change the playing experience. However, while the classic remix was made to sound more epic, Modern's remix is rather upbeat as he enjoys the beauty of the area, showing that modern Sonic never lets anything get him down, no matter how bleak the scenario. He obviously had to be in the game, come on now. The most iconic classic era rival not being in the game would be negligence on Sonic Team's part. Unlike CD however, this is actually a full fight and not just some race to the goal. For the better too, as this fight is really thrilling. Although I must ask, why is it in the bad future? Does that mean canonically Sonic fucks up and Little Planet is doomed? Anyway, the music here is a remix of the Japanese Metal Sonic soundtrack using the original, and it's great. When thinking about a boss that defines the classic era, I can think of no better suggestion than the final boss of Sonic 2. Zero Rings are one of the toughest fights ever for a kid back in the day, and you had to beat Silver Sonic beforehand too. For obvious reasons, they had to tone down the difficulty. However, this interpretation of the fight is still really unique due to it having two unique phases, and is far better than the Sonic 4 version. The music once again carries the atmosphere of this fight, as they gave the original theme an orchestral remix, with extra instruments being added to each phase as the fight nears its end. Another pick that speaks for itself, Speed Highway is the best level in Adventure to many fans. Since this is the first level where Classic Sonic doesn't have a 2D stage as a direct comparison, they had to get creative with the level designs, and I'd say they did a great job overall at capturing the essence of the original in 2D, with the indoor section of the level even featuring the iconic bell. The techno remix of Speed Highway here is also a joy to my ears. It really captures the vibe of the original while sounding like something from the 90s. As for modern Sonic's level, it's basically a more streamlined, faster paced version of the original with all the same major set pieces as before. The only omission is the sunset area of the level at the end, but otherwise a fantastic stage. The music here is shockingly similar to the original. Guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Come on now, this had to be the pick for SA2. It's the most iconic level in the series for crying out loud. Sonic snowboarding through the city while trying to evade the police for a crime he didn't commit is unreal imagery, as he tears these gun mechs a new also while making his escape. This is also another fantastic level, as the gimmicks that make it special are fully incorporated into both acts. For classic Sonic, the gun truck constantly chases him throughout the level, leading to a lot of time set pieces where you have to outmaneuver it. And for modern Sonic, well, let's just say there's a twist. The gun truck. Last time we met, I had a spin dash. This time I've got a boost. You have no chance against me. Holy shit, those boss swords. The fuck is he attacking me with them? Are we on the rooftops of houses? How does insurance work in the Sonic world? Now we've got rocket boosters, and now we're running on the sides of buildings, and holy shit! How many people did that guy kill? Finally, I just have to talk about the OST here. The classic version not only incorporates Genesis drums into this techno beat that feels modern and retro at the same time, but references both Endless Mine, a multiplayer stage from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the City Escape instrumental from the trial version of SA2. Two references for the price of one. The modern remix ain't too shabby either, with a whole new section added to the song along with more rock elements. Once again, another level stellarly brought over to generations while keeping what made the original so special intact. While I'm kinda mixed on the classic version, modern Seaside Hill follows the exact design philosophy of Heroes, with multiple pathways everywhere, even in places you wouldn't expect. A perfect instance of this is at the start of the level, where you can go to the left, middle, right, or say fuck it and create your own shortcut by boosting on the water and skipping a huge chunk of platforming. Brilliantly designed stage. However, I can't help but feel that they really missed a huge opportunity to just remake a better stage. Frog Forest, Grand Metropolis, Hang Castle, and especially Egg Fleet would have been way better picks to me. But alas, that wasn't what we got. At least the music was good though. The classic version makes me feel super nostalgic for the original game. And the modern act cleverly mixes in Ocean Palace music, which is fitting given that was the second of the Seaside acts in Heroes. The rival battle of the Dreamcast era can be none other than Shadow the Hedgehog, who debuted back in Sonic Adventure 2 with his own arc focused on fulfilling Maria's wish. He's since gone on to be a fan favourite, and for good reason. I'll touch up more on this when we get to the Shadow Generations portion, but for now, let's discuss the fight. Based off their final encounter in SA2 in the arc, this battle was essentially a race, as you must collect 2 orbs before Shadow does, with him being able to do everything you're able to do. If Shadow collects the orbs, he assaults you with a bunch of Chaos Spears while All Hail Shadow plays in the background. However, if you get them, Sonic gets a superpower boost and must ram the debris onto the ground into Shadow, all while Live and Learn plays in the background. It's fantastic stuff if I do say so myself. However, they don't just stop at SA2 Dreamcast references. Even the GameCube port, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, gets some love, as the intro to this fight is a recreation of the opening scene found in that game. The OST used in this battle is also a remix of the one used in the iconic final encounter in SA2, and it doesn't disappoint. Perfect Chaos, being the final boss of Sonic Adventure, was the first time a final boss wasn't Eggman in the main series, and was also the first time the monster turns on Eggman trope was introduced to the series. I could think of no better boss representative for this era. In terms of how it plays, it differs from the original in 2 key ways. In that version, Super Sonic was needed to beat it. Here, however, the boost is more than enough for Sonic to handle him in base. It's a neat little showing of how much stronger Sonic has gotten since then. The second way it differs is that the boss has essentially been turned into a platforming challenge, with various obstacles he must maneuver around to get to it. The remix of Open Your Heart is also phenomenal. '06 was a game that, given the right time and resources, could have been one of the greatest in history. Unfortunately, what we got wasn't that, putting it very lightly, but I'm glad to see Sonic Team embracing the good and bad from the Sonic series, when it would have been way easier and safer to act like the game never happened. There's even talks of an '06 remake floating around these days, which is something I'd be interested to see for sure. Anyway, back on topic. Crisis City was always one of the best levels in '06, and the Generations take on the level realizes the potential it had. The only notable omission is Sonic snowboarding down the city at the start in the modern stage, which is odd considering they already had the gameplay for that in City Escape. However, it's a minor loss compared to the multitude of improvements. Less automation, a polished experience, and a mini-map speed section where you can see what you have to dodge. Thank God. The classic stage is also great, with the tornadoes that were a background element in '06 being obstacles you have to overcome. Also, this music slaps! best stage in Sonic Unleashed makes its grand return here, and in style might I add. The whole level has undergone quite the transformation since its original showing in Unleashed, with a rather festive mood about it. Could possibly be a nod to the inhabitants of Spagonia celebrating the world being put back together at the end of Unleashed, although I could be reaching with that. Anyway, the classic rendition of this stage has a lot of references to both the hub world, with Professor Pickle's lab in the distance and all the flags of the various continents in the game, and the Werehog levels with the barrels seen in those stages. A nice little nod to them being secondary gameplay styles in a way. The clock tower climb is still here, although it's now been turned into a platforming sequence with the egg chases forcing you to stay on your toes. It also somehow manages to sneak in the flying battery reference with a blimp towards the end of the level. By far the best thing about this stage though is the music. It's so upbeat, so jovial, and never fails to put a smile on my face whenever I revisit this game. However, that doesn't hold a candle to the modern act, which may just be the closest thing to perfection this series has ever produced. Everything that made the original stage so special and Unleashed is here and accounted for, from the quick stepping section down narrow hallways to the egg chase sequence at the end of the level. And as you run through this gorgeous looking scene with confetti and balloons scattered across the stage, you get treated to this beautiful orchestral remix of Rooftop Run, which only adds to the festive theming of the level. Oh boy, guess I should start with the positives here. Planet Wisp was a really unique location and colours because it served as a natural homeland to these cute alien creatures called wisps. However, construction for Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park wasn't yet complete, and as a result, there was a blend of natural and artificial elements in the level. The original game had this really soothing, peaceful soundtrack that, to me at least, highlights how Sonic sees the beauty in the area. Sonic music has always had layers to it, which is why I like Act 1's rendition of the theme in Generations so much. The classic Sonic we get in Generations is likely based off his Sonic 2 appearance, as he knows Tails after all. Because of that, however, he's got a direct comparison to make with Planet Wisp, Little Planet's bad future. While Planet Wisp is only half that way, the fact he's seen Little Planet fall to the hands of Eggman before gives him PTSD, as the similarities between the two locations is quite striking. It's an excellent way of conveying the thoughts of a Sonic that doesn't speak, while also referencing an older title. In direct contrast to this, however, the modern Sonic version is almost like a good future version of this level, with violins and pianos elevating the beat as you run around these gorgeous fields. As for the actual level itself, it fucking blows! And a big reason why is down to the implementation of wisps, which return in this game. For classic Sonic, you spend most of your time meandering around with the spike wisp, which feels clunky as hell and is mandatory to advance through the stage. Modern Sonic gets it slightly better with the rocket wisp, but his 2D sections are just a bore and drag on way too long for my liking. This is the only stage in the game I don't really like, and it's a shame the game ends on this note. The rival battle for the modern era is none other than Silver the Hedgehog, who hails from Sonic 06. In that game, you fought him in the middle of Soliana. Here, however, you fight him in Crisis City? Anyway, this fight is miles above the original, which is infamous for being one of the most poorly designed rival fights in history.
Dude, no invincibility.
Wait, what?
And now you can get through?
He just sent you out of the level!
You have got to be kidding me. It's so used.
The whole gimmick here is that Silver uses his psychokinesis to grab objects and throw them at you, which ends in a giant ball of death he throws at you in a large-scale effort. It's a really thrilling fight, and the remixed rival theme from Sonic 06 is fantastic as always. For the boss battle of the modern era, we have none other than the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed, which was Eggman's last stand against the Werehog. The mech was designed to be the ultimate counter to regular Sonic, crafted after decades of battle between the two. Unfortunately for Eggman, he created the Werehog by releasing Dark Gaia, and mocked his adversary as he fell into the Earth's atmosphere. As a result, he loses his shit when the Werehog tears apart one of his greatest creations in a way he never saw coming, and it's great to watch.
Stay back!
However, right before Dark Gaia awakened, Eggman stated that he would build an Ultra Hyper Prototype 2, and the result is the machine we see in Generations. Funnily enough though, this machine seems like it was designed to outmaneuver the Werehog, with it being much more mobile than its predecessor. Since you fight it as regular Sonic this time, the battle plays out much differently, and can be long if you don't know what you're doing. However, I've always enjoyed the potential what-if scenario of Eggman actually completing his machine, and the stage having the original battle platform in the background is a neat touch. One thing I wish they didn't change was the music though. It's a bit too synthy for me compared to the original, which had much more gravitas to it. Before I talk about the final boss, trust me, there's not much to say. Let's go over the extra content and missions. Generation structure consists of 3 levels within an era, with a rival fight and boss. In order to unlock the boss gate, you need to complete 1 mission per level. These missions are rather fun if I do say so myself, although some of them really suck. Looking at you, Vector. Completing these missions, however, gives you concept art, which is viewable in the gallery, and music tracks. One of the coolest things about Generation is you can change the music track of any level to better suit your preferences, and there are quite a few combinations I do enjoy. Lastly, skills can be purchased by going to the skill shop in the hub world, and they change the way you play quite substantially. From skills that make you faster to skills that change the way you play entirely, there's something here for everyone. This boss fucking blows. Most of the time, you're just mashing the boost button hoping for the best. It's incredibly disappointing given how good the previous bosses were in the game, and it's easily one of the weakest in the series yet. And that's Sonic Generations for you. If you like my breakdown of the game, make sure to like and subscribe. What's happening here? Why is the screen going dark?
The promised time will arrive once more.
Born and raised on the playground where I spent both of my days. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all shooting some b-ball outside of school. When a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight, and my mom got scared and said, "You're moving with your Nazi and uncle in Bel Air."